The Saints await their final road game of the season at Carolina. We go in-depth with Nick Underhill about what's helped New Orleans take the lead in the NFC for now. Plus, Tulane wins the Cure Bowl, and game MVP Darius Bradwell joins us in studio. And the early signing period starts Wednesday. LSU's incoming class looks good for now. Thank you, Eagles. Now just 2 wins in the final 3 games guarantee the Saints the #1 seed in the NFC. I'm Doug Mouton. Welcome to 4th Down on 4. And 2 of the other 3 division leaders, the Rams and the Cowboys, lost today. Neither looked good. So our question tonight, which NFC division leader scares you the most looking forward to the playoffs? Is it the Rams, the Bears, or the Cowboys? Vote now on our mobile app or our website, wwltv.com/vote. Ricardo LeCompte gets us started with a preview from Charlotte.
Fires downfield for Ted Ginn Jr.
Point back to that last trip to Charlotte, September of last season. That was the launching point for the Saints' orbit into the NFL's elite.
Fires and it's intercepted by Vaccaro.
A 22-6 record following that Week 3 victory. And in that span, the Saints' offense has played at a high level. Although the second highest scoring offense in the league was in a rut for 6 quarters, we got back on track in the second half of last week's win against Tampa Bay.
We weren't performing how we are used to doing it. There's a thing here, there's a thing there that slows it down, and it's a little off.
I think we did taper off a little bit, had a couple little struggles, but it felt good to get back on track, and we expect to do the same thing this week.
On the other side, the defense keeps steadily improving, and in the last 5 weeks, the black and gold playing like one of the best in the NFL. Opponents are averaging just 13 points in that span. The D with 12 takeaways and 24 sacks. Cam Jordan and Sheldon Rankins showing the way up front.
He's at 12, I'm at 8. I got to go catch him. So, for me, it's not about just doing pretty good. It's about being the best.
In 15 months, the Saints have now become Super Bowl contenders, and now they want the road to the Super Bowl to run through the Superdome. The Saints trying to hold off the Los Angeles Rams for the #1 seed in the NFC. LA has the easiest schedule to it. The Saints just need a win out to be the top seed.
We recognize it, and that's why there's a great sense of urgency. And it's great to be in a position where you control your own destiny. We don't need to be scoreboard watching, right? We focus on our stuff, and all of it takes care of itself.
New Orleans needing to lock in on a Panther squad looking to end a 5-game losing skid.
Now, at one point they were 6-2, primed to try to win this division just like we were. So we got to take care of this one before we can worry about the next one and the one after that. So hopefully, that'll give us, what we want, which is home field throughout.
Carolina is still dangerous, especially with a backfield comprised of Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey. But Newton must play better. The Panthers quarterback throwing 8 of his 12 interceptions on the year during this winless stretch.
Picked off for the 3rd time.
You hear a lot what they're saying about his shoulder and all this, so I feel like, man, he definitely going to come out to play. So if he throw bad throws, we got to come down with him. If he throw good throws, we got to make sure we can test him.
I mean, they got the juice, but at the end of the day, we come in Monday with a cup for our own team.
Another trip to Charlotte. The Saints hope the next time they come back, they're returning as a defending champion. Reporting in Charlotte with the Saints, Ricardo LeCompte, 4th Down on 4.
All right, thanks, Ricardo. And again, the Eagles win over the Rams Sunday night buys the Saints a mulligan. Here's the playoff picture right now. It means the Saints can still lose one and be the #1 seed in the NFC playoffs. Actually, both the Saints and the Bears beat the Rams. So LA's loss was big for Chicago, too. The Bears could still sneak up and steal that second bye. Now, before he took off for Charlotte, we caught up with Nick Underhill with our partners at The Advocate to talk all things Saints. When you look at game tape from the last couple of weeks, what are you noticing about the Saints offense, especially in those 6 quarters where things weren't clicking? What are you noticing about the offense?
It's a little bit hard to put your finger on it because I don't think they did anything drastically different, especially in this Tampa Bay game. The only thing that really stood out to me is that they started running more to the right side of the line. When they're running to the left side of the line, they're having some issues there. I don't think it was the best game that Andrews Pete has ever had. Against Dallas, I thought that Breeze was just a little bit off. He makes the word open kind of a relative term. A guy can be guarded, and he'll just put the ball right there where only Keith Kirkwood could get it. And some of the throws are on the other side of the chest, and they're reaching back, and guys are dropping balls or it's getting defended. They're accurate passes, but it's not Drew Brees accuracy. And when you are playing with undrafted free agents behind Michael Thomas, you need that quarterback at that super elite level to kind of get away with that, and they didn't have that against Dallas.
Throughout the course of the season, have you noticed a progression or a change in how teams are defending Mike Thomas?
Well, I mean, going all the way back to last year, it wasn't until late in the season when you really started seeing him get that kind of attention. The first time they played Minnesota last year, Xavier Rhodes didn't follow him. Then in the playoffs they did. And I think throughout this year, you're kind of seeing more and more of that attention. The problem is that it's inconsistent as far as who steps up. Against Philadelphia, Traquan Smith did, but then other times when Mike's getting that attention, the other guys really aren't, kind of exploiting that one-on-one matchup. So it's not all the time, and when it does happen, it should open things up more. And I think that's kind of why you're seeing this carousel of wide receivers. They need to find that other option where if Mike's taken away, they can move the ball. And, so far I don't think that they have that consistently.
And fans, more than anybody else, are asking about Ted Ginn. He is sort of what this offense has been missing, right? A chance to stretch things vertically.
Look, Traquan Smith is like now the number 2 guy, and he was supposed to be like the 4th option in this offense because Cam Meredith is gone too. And I think he's had to step up into a role that they probably didn't see for him this year as a rookie. They don't have that vertical element. They don't have that number 2 guy. So I think Ted Ginn Jr., if he can come back, would make a massive difference if he can kind of pick up where he left off.
And we'll have to find out when he does. Look, the one guy who's made a massive difference on defense is Cam Jordan. How much has Sheldon Rankins' emergence helped him? How much are you seeing Jordan still get the double or triple teams, or is that starting to lighten up a little bit as Sheldon Rankins emerges?
I think Cam's still getting a lot of that attention. But Sheldon Rankins, look, he's kind of playing at an elite level for an interior defensive lineman. And behind him, too, David Onyemata, he's stepping up. I really think that you're kind of seeing the impact of defensive line coach Ryan Nielsen. This is kind of year 2. Both those guys were slow to develop at first, but, since getting him in there, you see them both kind of taking off, which, going further down the list, it kind of adds some excitement for Marcus Davenport's future if he's developing these guys and they're stepping up the way they are.
Give me a review for you of Cam Jordan.
He's a tactician. I mean, he really has a wide array of moves, and his counters are amazing. Just everything he does is very precise. And if there's a double team, sometimes he's killing the double teams. I mean, you see him getting held and he's getting through holds. He probably flies under the radar a little bit more than he should, but I really do think he's at that elite level of pass rusher.
What Saints team do you expect to see Monday night? The one that struggled for 6 quarters, or the one that sort of put it together those last 2 quarters?
I'm not worried about the little blip. It was out of character, and then the Taysom Hill block punt, it was like everybody woke up and was like, hey, we're supposed to be the Saints, and they looked like the Saints again. For me, really, the biggest intrigue is the defense and how they keep going. These last 7 weeks, really, with Eli Apple, and I'm not giving all the credit to Eli Apple, but they have been a much better team, and you've kind of seen the floor rise on that position. I think he's really had a huge impact. He played amazing against Tampa Bay. They threw at him 7 times, no catches, 1 catch in prevent defense, which you can kind of toss that away, but he's playing really good football.
And that obviously makes you optimistic going forward, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, the difference between them and some of the other elite teams. You see Kansas City, their defense is, very sporadic. They're kind of sort of like the Saints a few years ago, where it's like the quarterback has to put up 40 points and you hope that 40 points, isn't 43 for the opposition. I don't think they're as complete as the Saints, and I don't think the Rams are either.
Coming up, we'll head to Orlando, where Tulane won its first bowl game in 16 years. Green Wave running back Darius Bradwell stops by after his huge day against the Ragin' Cajuns. Plus, trick plays were the key for Appalachian State in the New Orleans Bowl. And later, we'll get you ready for this week's early signing period for prep recruits across Louisiana.
4th Down on 4 is sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Gulf Coast. Forget Vegas, you've got home field advantage.
Weekend for Tulane at the Cure Bowl, and looking forward, their best defensive player, Patrick Johnson, who had 10.5 sacks, will be back next year. Their leading receiver, Darnell Mooney, their leading rusher, Darius Bradwell, and the quarterback, who helped turn the season around, will all be back.
The senior from Cedar Hill, Texas.
Saturday at Camping World Stadium, Justin McMillan showed why the Tulane offense took such a major step forward with him at the controls. He threw it just enough. This quick strike to Teron Ankalad was his big pass of the day.
Touchdown!
He also delivered this fourth quarter pass to Charles Jones on a 4th and 7. In 6 games started by the LSU transfer, the Green Wave went 5-1. But what Justin McMillan did really effectively both Saturday against the Ragin' Cajuns and since he took over is know when to tuck it under and run. In the Cure Bowl, he did it 10 times for 85 critical yards, often extending drives, and he ran in Tulane's final touchdown in the 41-24 win. Tulane outrushed UL Lafayette 337-84. When Willie Fritz changed offensive coordinators after the season, he said running the ball more effectively was the mission. Tulane did that in a big way Saturday. And the leader of that Tulane rushing attack joins us in studio, Darius Bradwell. A terrific game. First of all, how much fun was that?
It was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun in Orlando.
35 carries for 150 yards in the game. 35 carries is a number, maybe you used to hear that in the 70s, in the wishbone days, but nobody gets it 35 times in a game these days. What was that like to get it that many times?
You know, I was shocked when I heard it, you know what I mean? But Coach Fritz came to me and asked me, can I keep playing? I said, yep. And he went feeding me the ball, so, you know, I was just excited.
That was during the game he asked you that?
During the game, yeah. He told me you need to get back in the game, so that's what I did.
So he felt like it was a huge amount at some point, enough to ask you, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were good with it at that point?
Yeah, you know, I trained off season for that, you know what I mean? In big moments, I want the ball in my hand, so, you know, I felt like I was ready.
And the fact that it's the last game of the year, you got plenty of time to get better now, right?
Get better, yeah.
All right,
healthy.
Show us the medal. This is what you won as the game's MVP.
Yes, sir.
What does that mean to you, to go to your first bowl game and come away with that? I know you're going to talk about the offensive line and all of that, but personally, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot, you know, all the sacrifices that I've made, and also my mother. You know, I'm here for the reason because of my mom, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's just been a long journey for me from quarterback to running back, you know, battling injuries and everything. And a lot of people just don't know the outside of football aspect of my life. So, you know, it's just a blessing.
The transition from quarterback to running back, I know, and we've talked to you about it a few times in the past, you thought it was the right move when it came. A game like this one sort of reinforces you clearly made the right decision to switch, right?
Yeah, you know, out of high school, I got recruited from a lot of Power 5s for running back, and, you know, and when Coach Fritz came to me and Coach Roos came to me, you know, it just clicked to me. I like, people must see something in me that I didn't see at the moment, so.
What was it about Justin McMillan that sort of ignited this offense? 5-1 since he became the starter. Can you put your finger on how he was able to sort of light the fire?
I think his decision making was the difference maker. You know what I'm saying? He trusted his players around him, and he knew he just had to lead us. And he had good players around him to make plays, so I think he came in and just knew that.
You brought the Cure Bowl trophy with you.
Yes, sir.
You were Coach Fritz's first recruit that he signed. To be sitting here with that trophy, Tulane hadn't won a lot of bowl games in the history of the school. To be sitting here with that trophy, what does that mean to you?
That means a lot, you know what I'm saying? We just worked so hard for this in the off season and everything. And, you know, January 7th, 2016, you know, I came here for that reason, to make history. And, you know, we did that this year.
And how much optimism does this give you going forward for next year?
I just think we got high expectations. We accomplished going to the bowl game. We accomplished winning a bowl game. Now, you know, as a leader of this team now, my goal is to win conference championship and go to a bigger bowl.
Darius Bradwell, terrific job yesterday. Thanks for coming in. I know you saw. We certainly appreciate it. Tulane's bowl game was the first of 5 on the opening day of the College Bowl season. The nightcap was the New Orleans Bowl.
How about for Mark Ivy?
Appalachian State played in the New Orleans Bowl between coaches. Their coach left for Louisville 2 weeks ago. And with interim coach Mark Ivy at the controls, they played free and easy. 2 trick plays broke the game open against Middle Tennessee. Second quarter, they throw back to wideout Malik Williams, who throws a strike to Thomas Hennigan.
Williams to Hennigan.
Then on a reverse to Williams again, and this time he throws to quarterback Zach Thomas for the touchdown. App State dominated and won it 45-13. The Mountaineers finish 11-2. Their new coach, Eli Drinkwitz, takes over the program today. Ivy coached his alma mater to the New Orleans Bowl championship in his only game as their head coach. Still ahead, Wednesday is a huge day for local prep recruits as early signing period begins. Rivals.com's Sam Spiegelman drops by to give us insight about LSU's incoming class so far and where some of Louisiana's best might be headed to college. The recruiting early signing period starts Wednesday. A lot of kids are going to sign national letters of intent. Sam Spiegelman, an analyst for Rivals.com, joins us to talk about it. All right, let's talk about LSU's class first. 6th in the country, according to Rivals. How do you view this class overall? It's a good one overall for Ed Orgeron, isn't it?
Yeah, if you look at some of the names at the top, John Emery, Derek Stingley Jr., Dante Starks, some of the best names in Louisiana have already committed early. They're going to sign on Wednesday, signed, sealed, delivered, get a lot of them on campus in January or June. But these are the best of the best inside the state. They have 4 of the 5 committed in the state, 8 of the top 10 guys from the state committed. It's a great start. Obviously, there's still work to be done going into February, but you're going to get about 80% signs and give Orgeron five more spots to work on in February, which is a really good position to be in.
Well, that's good. And they get the best offensive lineman in the state, Cardell Thomas, a guard who could really help. Stingley is a cornerback. But I want to talk about John Emery coming from Destrehan. He, to me, seems like he walks onto campus and he's the most talented ball carrier the day he gets there. Would you expect to see him play a lot as a true freshman?
Yeah, I think even, if he was on the team this year, he probably would have been the starting running back. Now, I don't know if he'll be the starter. I expect him to have a huge role, and it's just something that the staff has always viewed for him. He is a running back that doesn't have to come off the field. He can run, catch, block. He's an excellent blocker. So smart, so highly rated. I mean, every time you see him, he's gotten better. What a fantastic senior year at Destrehan. Immediately when he steps on foot on campus, Clyde Edwards-Hilaire is now the upperclassman. Him and Tyrion Davis have a chance to compete with 2 redshirt freshman running backs. And you have to give an edge to the newcomers who are just so highly rated coming in as true freshmen.
Yeah, no question about it. What do you like overall about LSU's class? What has Ed Orgeron been able to do with this class that maybe he wasn't the last couple?
Well, first up, it starts at building in the trenches, and especially on the offensive side of the ball. They have 5 offensive linemen committed. And like you mentioned, Cardell Thomas is an instant impactor at that right guard. You have Ray Parker, who's coming in as a tight end out of Ruston, but he could eventually grow out to be a left tackle, a real left tackle. And if not, you come in with Thomas Perry, who's the top-rated tackle in the state out of Turlings Catholic. And Anthony Bradford out of Michigan, a nice Midwestern offensive lineman coming to LSU.
Even Postage is the guy that I think of.
Exactly, come in and compete at right tackle, which is a position of need for LSU. And whether they start or spell some of the starters off the bench, you all of a sudden have depth up front, which has kind of been, a focal point for LSU over the last couple of years.
The biggest mystery in the state, and Rivals has him as the 18th best player in America, is Ishmael Sobcher, the terrific defensive tackle, led a meet to a state championship. What is the latest with him? If you had to crystal ball it, who's the favorite for you?
Yeah, I think publicly everyone kind of views this as Alabama being the favorite. I don't necessarily believe that to be true. I don't think he's made up his mind. In my opinion, the pecking order is LSU and Bama, and then Oregon and A&M, and I think those are 4 of the teams that are really in the thick of it. He took an official visit to Eugene this weekend. He's going to dive in and go to Bama, go to A&M, and go to LSU all next month. I do think it comes down to LSU or Bama, but LSU sitting with 1 defensive line commitment. I don't see them adding more than 1 after the early signing period on Wednesday. And I think it's just shaping up for LSU to make a strong push for not only Ishmael, but his older brother Rodney, also from A-Meet, was in Devontae Smith's class at A-Meet. Both of them possibly signing with LSU and fortifying the trenches, and LSU with almost all the top 10 prospects in the state come February.
That would be quite a haul for Doron and company. Sam Spiegelman, terrific job as always. We are back with more 4th Down on 4 in a minute. Based on the way the Rams and the Cowboys played today, the voting in our 4th Down on 4 poll question is really not a surprise. Right now, it does certainly appear the Chicago Bears represent the biggest threat to the Saints in the playoffs. They topped 80% in the voting, which is still open. For now, the Saints could not face the Bears until the NFC Championship game, and for now, that game would be in the Superdome. Saints and Panthers Monday night in Charlotte. We're out of time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week on 4th Down on 4.
Fourth Down on 4 has been sponsored by the Sportsbook at Hollywood Casino Gulf Coast. Forget Vegas. You've got home field advantage.